our presidential candidate and his running mate, and of course the team that make up the APC campaign, have been able to traverse the length and breadth of this country. Bola and Tinubu has managed to cover almost every square inch of this country in terms of going to the states or the regions. And the kind of reception that we've gotten everywhere we go is very, very positive and is very encouraging. So the campaign is going very well, and I think our messaging is on point as well. We've been able to communicate to Nigerians the sort of message that Asiwaju, his vision that he has for Nigeria. So in that respect, I think we've done our campaign, and especially our candidate, has done extremely well. So the campaign is going much better than I envisaged. Well, I think maybe I'm being a little biased. I'd probably rate it 150.
Whoa!
Not better than that. Because like I said, I didn't think, of course I had all the confidence in my candidate and the campaign, my principles essentially, but I didn't think it would be as smooth sailing as this, because this has been it's been a very contentious sort of election cycle. It's been a long time since Nigeria has experienced this sort of combative election or very intense sort of election. So I thought it would be a lot harder, but with the candidate that we have and the messaging he has for his action plan, I think we've been able to sort of lay the ground for what Nigerians can expect come 2023 after his imminent victory. I think the political system is one that is still growing. I think democracy in Nigeria is of course, it's still fairly fresh, it's still fairly young, and I think we're learning. And I think that, the democracy, I've always said the answer to democracy is more democracy, and we have an opportunity as a nation to sort of strengthen democratic structures by putting up all the variables that will underpin it, such as strong leadership and stuff like that. And I think the more that we're practicing this democracy, and especially after this particular election cycle, where we're seeing new demographic of people sort of wanting to be engaged in the process and wanting to play a part and wanting to make their voices heard, I think we are becoming a more stronger democracy. So I'm glad that we've had this particular experience in this particular cycle, and with the hope that moving forward it can only add to our democracy and strengthen the political process in Nigeria. Well, my drive is always to speak for the downtrodden, and from where I come from, the School of Thought, the sort of my roots is one of always standing up for the masses. My father was a political, not only an activist, he was a radical. He was part of the NEPU movement in Kano, and my godfather, Alaji Malam Aminu Kano, I learned from them about always getting involved in the process in order to stand up and speak for the people that possibly don't have the ability to speak for themselves. So yeah, my drive is always to be able to represent the downtrodden, and also to represent women and people within my community that may not have the sort of rights that I've been, and the privileges that I as a person have been privileged to have. He came out with an action plan that is very completely holistic, and that is completely all-inclusive. This action plan has plans on insecurity, on the economy. He's very big on trying to get a very strong, robust economy, and I think, of all the candidates, or rather of all the people in Nigeria, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, with what he has been able to achieve in Lagos in terms of their economy, I think he's at the top brass in being able to sort of come up with the sort of programs and the structures that will be able to give us a stronger economy. So he has come up with a master plan that really focuses a lot on trying to bring a more stronger economy to Nigeria. Of course, things like digital economy as well. And then he has a very robust plan in terms of agriculture, in terms of trying to bring power back to Nigerians, trying to give us stable power. And of course, on women, on I said insecurity, on even the youth. And then you also have for social investment program he's trying to also expand that in a way that will be able to address some of the vulnerabilities for those the most vulnerable in the society. So his action plan is extremely all-inclusive in terms of trying to address all the sectors that is needed to try to bring up a more stronger and healthier nation. I've always said in all my interviews, it will be easy as a spokesperson to come up and just talk schmack. I think that's the normal thing that is expected. But I've always wanted, in my capacity as a spokesperson, to be very honest in the way that I present my arguments. And I think the PDP is still a strong party. I think of all I think we have about 18 aspirants or so, a little bit more than 18. I think the PDP is the only one that is a real contender in this election, even though it's very good for our political process that many people have been included now, in this specific campaign. But I think of all the candidates, it's only PDP that's really going to give the APC a run for its money. But unfortunately for the PDP, its house is completely crumbling in front of us. So even though it is the only strong contender of all the parties, in my opinion, going into the election, we have a little more than, I think, 38 days or something to go to the election. And going into that, I think the PDP is the only one that really stands a chance of standing up to the APC. But even within that, I think the house is completely crumbling. And because of the sort of events that are happening surrounding PDP, I think there's a clear pathway for victory for Asiwaju at this point, and I think it's becoming starkly obvious that he is not only the front runner, but he's probably going to win this election with a huge landslide. That's what I think. Honestly, that's what I think. I've never seen a campaign that has been inclusive of women such as the one in APC. APC is the only party that has seen it fit to set up a separate campaign council tailored specifically for women. Even though within the main campaign council you do have the directorate that addresses issues that have to do with women. But even at that, the candidate felt it was very important, the candidate and his amazing wife felt that it was very important to give women that power and that independence to go out and campaign on their own. And you can see, led by Remi Tinubu, the Senator Remi Tinubu, the wife of the candidate, and also by the current First Lady, Mrs. Buhari. They are going out, the women, and campaigning in all the different areas, the zones, as if there's even no presidential campaign council. And they're doing a lot in order to address the issues of women. And when they go to these areas, they take it upon themselves to listen to what the issues are with the women. So it's given women in the locality a sense of ownership and a sense of belonging of this party, that a party would feel that it is important for us to have a separate campaign tailored for women. So I think is doing a great deal in terms of how you're going to get women to support this particular candidacy of Asiwaju Bola and Tinubu. And I think women, we talk about the youth vote, but I mean the women vote is phenomenal. And I think if we can have the women support the candidacy, it is absolutely priceless. And I think with the efforts that Mrs. Tinubu is putting in with the Women Campaign Council, and of course together with the women in the main campaign council, I think you will see that women are going to play a really huge part in seeing that Asiwaju gets the victory that he deserves. He said it, not only in his action plan, but he's also vocalized it, that he wants to bring women into his cabinet, and a large part of his cabinet will consist of women of different demographic ages. And also he wants to put women in key agencies, and also to encourage the party to put women in the sort of positions where they will be able to have elective positions as well, trying to encourage the party to bring up different programs and different ways that will get women into elective positions. And in order to do that, and of course he also spoke about trying to reach out to the legislature to try to bring this affirmative action back into play. And beyond that, he's gone beyond that. He talks about in his action plan about trying to address areas that matter to women, things such as domestic abuse, things such as the laws on rape and stuff like that. They want to look into this. And you know, these are all issues that affect women, and these are things that he promises within his action plan, and these are things that he's also vocalized. And I think with Asiwaju Bola and Tinubu, I think women will have it the best that we've ever had it since independence, or even before independence. I think with Asiwaju Bola and Tinubu, you will see a revolution of how women will be empowered. And I'm looking forward to seeing the plans that he has for women. He's a real feminist, and it's one of the things that encourages me to support him, because he supports me and my kind, which is women all over the country. This is amazing. This is absolutely amazing. This is what we've wanted. We want youths to be involved because this is their life, it's their future. I mean, it's all our lives. But you know, the youths have a larger stake because they probably have a longer time within it, give and take, to operate within whatever system is created. So they have a stake, and I think they should have a greater voice. And it's so refreshing to see that youths are being galvanized in this cycle to come out and make their say, have their say, and speak their piece. And within the next 38 days, you know, the youths will have an opportunity to go and give a mandate to whoever they feel is going to be able to propel them, their future, and our nation to greater heights. It's a great thing that the youths are getting more involved. I remember when we first started, there was this sort of lackadaisical attitude with the youth in terms of getting involved in the process, and they felt that, you know, their involvement is not going to make a difference. But it will make a difference, and the more of them get involved, the more they have an opportunity to have their say and make whatever changes they feel is necessary. And the change that we believe is necessary is the change to be able to renew the hopes of Nigerians, for us to be able to bring a stronger economy, bring more security, and also to build on what all the gains that this particular administration has had, the good parts. We want to build on those, and all the other areas that we've had challenges. We want to see what measures Asiwaju is going to bring to revitalize those particular areas. What I want from Nigerians is to look at who has the vision, the character, the compassion, the integrity, the clout, and the ability to identify the most troubling problems for Nigerians and to prefer solutions for them. And the other thing that I want to make note of, because we talk about the youth, we're talking about youth, we talk about we talk about the youth, we're talking about their right to have their say. But what I want to say is, when you talk about youth, you have youth across the breadth of Nigeria. And let's not misunderstand that a vociferous group of youth that happen to be on social media do not represent all the youth in Nigeria. There are people all over this country, and they are youth as well, who have a right to have their say. And just because there's a group within social media that have more presence online and in the media doesn't mean that they represent all of Nigeria. And like I said, the youth that I meet from my own community, which is the northwestern part of Nigeria, are youth that have an excitement about Asiwaju Bola and Tinubu being involved in this process. What I'm saying is, you know, the youth, I want us to keep in mind that all over Nigeria there's about 92 million registered voters. And of those 92 million registered voters, there's a lot of, I think the majority of the new registered voters are youth. But these are youth from across the breadth of Nigeria. But what I've seen is there's a trend that people feel that the more vociferous youth on social media represent all of the youth. And that is not true. My community, my constituency, which is essentially the northwestern part of Nigeria, which happens to have the majority of the registered voters in the voters register, they also have a lot of youth. And these youths think very differently to the youth that you see on the social media and so on and so forth. And what I don't want is a situation where we have an election and then the youth on social media say, oh, it was rigged because that's not what the youth wanted. But the youth in the northern part of the country, who do not have access to social media in the way some others do, have as much right as anyone else to have their voices heard. And what I see is the trend of the youth in that particular section of the country not having the same views of those on social media. The youth in Nigeria are going to vote, and it's going to surprise many to see that it may not be the same way as what they see on social media. So I'm very hopeful of victory for our candidate, and I want Nigerians to take all sentiment out and to honestly look at the person that has the capacity and the credibility to be able to build a strong economy, to be able to have the courage to do what is necessary to build a stronger security system. So, and I think of all those candidates, without doubt, is Asiwaju Bola and Tinubu, and I stand by that word. Well, I continue saying I'm just a local House of Fulani herdswoman, essentially from Musawa in Katsina State. At the core of me, I'm a Nigerian, and all I've wanted all my life is to see the unity and the strength of Nigeria. been able to be privileged enough to travel most parts of this country. I have friends from different parts of this country. Of course, my best friend of blessed memory, my two best friends, Sam and Isaiah, who was a Northern Christian, and Amaka and Ibogu, who was from Oka, a Catholic, taught me a lot about looking at Nigeria from a very secular point of view, and looking at Nigeria as a point of view as a Nigerian. And I love Nigeria to the core of my being. And probably that's the reason why I got involved in politics in the first place, because I wanted to play a role in ensuring that the country continues to remain united, and the country, our diversity becomes essentially our strength. And so that's who I am. I'm a barrister. It's all part of this innate need to sort of stand up and fight and speak for the downtrodden. That's why I got involved in my legal career. I'm also an artist. Many people don't know this about me, but I'm actually an artist, and that's the one thing that I love to do in my time of stress and stuff like that. I revert back to making art, because I like to see the creative side of me. Of course, I'm a poet, I'm an author. So I'm a poet. It's all part of that creative side of me. I'm also a family person and a very spiritual person. As a Muslim, I find myself always traveling to Umrah, because I want to always strengthen my spirituality and my faith, and to use that to propel me to a better state of being as a human being. So basically that's what I am, and I hope that some of these qualities, whether good, or rather the good qualities in me, have an opportunity to, I have an opportunity to enforce that in trying to contribute in building a better nation. And I hope I have an opportunity with Bola and Tinubu to bring myself, to bring value into, not only as a member of APC or member of Ashiwaju's team, but also as a Nigerian. I want to bring value as a Nigerian to Nigeria.